Our next speaker will be Waheed, who's Director of Global Communications Division at American University in Paris. So, Waheed.
Hi. I think one thing in this discussion of peace we should come back to is thinking about what Mahatma Gandhi said, which is that you must never confuse non-violence with cowardly submission. That non-violence and peace is based on the capacity to be violent, to succeed in violence, and the decision not to do so. That it's about the capacity to have the will and the force to do so, the ethical decision not to use that force. And I think that a lot of what we try and do in university education now is form individuals who are courageous and have strength and moral courage. It's essential. And it cannot just be sort of a general sense of goodwill, peace, and we should all be peaceful. Everyone agrees with that. It's finding that. So in my own university, which is probably one of the most cosmopolitan places in the world, there's 1,000 students and 100 nationalities, and often students have several nationalities, so do professors. We've tried to build a general education program inside liberal arts education. So a general education program means a program that everyone does. That's whether they're doing engineering or computer science or communications or business or so on. They do this general education. The idea of general education is to build global citizenship for an interdependent world. And the idea of that is to build this idea of interdependence. And we have living evidence of that in lots of programs we've built. Okay, so firstly, we do that with different levels. Freshman seminars when students first arrive, capstones before they finish, where they deal with specific problems in cross-disciplinary ways. So that's the key issue. That liberal education now, which is traditional within the American system, certain elements, liberal arts colleges, is now in crisis because of a transformation in technology and in globalization. So what we're seeking now is to adapt this idea beyond universities, just our single university, to make it more global. So we're beginning by network courses with other universities where we collaborate. We've paid a particular attention to this capstone. The first capstones we did were looking at the relationships between the Islamic and the Western world, trying to look at it from every possible perspective: business, politics, communications, and so on. And that was extremely successful. And one of the programs we run was taking students to one of the most traditional cities in the world, which is Fez, a bit like Varanasi. That's the city which probably most embodies the tradition of an Islamic city unchanged over 1,000 years or more. And students live with families, and often that's very difficult when they come from cultures, you know, you have different ideas of sexual separation and so on. But it's true that the lived experience, now those students we got were graduate students. Those students worked in NGOs, local NGOs, very small NGOs where people were helping inside their environment that had no money, working with things like street kids, working with girls who were 16 and 17 learning to make money by becoming seamstresses. Okay. And what we found in this experience, this idea of interdependence is very important. Because people who come from a culture of Western, wealthier countries, which most of our students do, or at least come from the wealthy sections of less wealthy countries, find that they learn so much, they get so much energy and force from those societies. In some ways, it really is an exchange in a way that you wouldn't think. So that idea of building global citizenship has sort of worked in other ways. So several of our alumni have gone on and really used ICTs for peace. One organization I know is called globalnomads.com, another called Bridges of Understanding. Globalnomads.com for the last 12 years has built relationships using video conferencing, and now, of course, using this direct internet thing to connect high school students in completely different countries, Ghana, Jordan, the United States. So high school students begin to communicate with each other. Bridges of Understanding does that specifically, also with the Arab or Muslim world, several others. So it's really also trying to form people to go and work in that. So the idea then of a peace education, we also have specific programs in conflict resolution and peace education. But the idea is to move beyond just the idea of just teaching peace as a concept and find the means and go back to that idea of the force to do so. So building that digital, and then the next thing I want to talk about is sort of building digital platforms across universities, which deals with this idea of interdependence. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much. Our third speaker will be Professor James Hightower from Webster University here in Thailand.
Very much appreciate the opportunity to be here to discuss these issues with you today. Although I'm a professor of mathematics at my university, I promise that will not be the nature of my talk. I'd like to speak very generally about the challenges that universities face today. We're in a transitional moment. The institution of the university globally is in a transitional moment. It's such that you could say that the realities of the 21st century information environment represent this transformative moment for the university education. It's these same realities that make this PPN concept that we're here talking about today so exciting and in fact viable to them. Let me just have a quote here. The president of Ohio State University, a major institution in the United States, in a widely circulated speech a few months ago, said regarding universities, "Our challenge today is radical reformation. The choice, it seems to me, is reinvention or extinction." Those are very strong words. And it's true, too, that universities are very conservative institutions. They change like ocean liners change course. Frequently, our students are more fluent in the languages of the new information environment than the professors. Yet we have to change. We have to get beyond this factory model of education. Hierarchy, authority, passive reception, linear text, to what we can characterize, or people are characterized, as education 2.0. We all know the Web 2.0 concept. Education 2.0. And I'd like to just very briefly, the way I describe education 2.0 as a convolution of three paradigms. One, the paradigm shift from hierarchy to network. And I mean that not only from the point of view of social networks, all the social media forms that we all know about. And on the other side, the technological infrastructure of networks. The second paradigm shift is Web 2.0 itself. Open source, free information, self-directed networking. I guess 10 years ago, the web would be described maybe as reading, researching, receiving. Now it's contributing, creating, collaborating. All of this has far outpaced the ability of existing institutions, universities as well as governments, to control and dominate the space. We all know this. The third paradigm is the peer-to-peer paradigm, the participation paradigm, P2P, the relational dynamic that we've seen it emerge in all kinds of domains that are characterized as distributed networks, autonomous, cooperating agents. And this facilitates the co-creation of meaning, co-creation of narrative, co-creation of concepts, new forms of production, new forms of property, consensus, valuation. All of these things are such a challenge for the university, any university. And our idea of this PPN platform as an enabling network that takes advantage of those three paradigms, networks, P2P, the Web 2.0, an open, participatory, heterogeneous network. And at my university, I really want to see my university get involved in this. And I think it really has something valuable to offer. One cautionary note to close. I think we should be wary of immediately trying to channel the enthusiasm of our students into the standard packaging, into the things we, the professors, know about. courses, academic programs, conferences, publications. We need to kind of let the students tell us how to proceed. Things like Twitter, Facebook, Wikipedia, Delicious, Technorati, none of this existed 10 years ago. Our students know more about it than we do. So, as opposed to imposing upon students new coursework, I think the university role here needs to be a little bit more open and let the students